Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes Paul. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Hello everyone, welcome to your latest Wolves Fancast episode. I'm your host, Little Dan. On tonight's show, I've got with me Dean, Jeffo and Josh Lem, but it's another Josh Lem. You may have saw him last week, featured heavily in a bit of viral Twitter. Josh, give us a bit of a heads up for those who missed the video. Obviously, Wolves somehow managed to steal a 2-2 draw late on away at Brighton last week, a ground that we've got a terrible record at, on top of our current run, and at 2-0 you decided enough was enough?
Well, it was the 85th minute, and this might sound really bad, but we didn't look like we were going to get anything, and I literally said to people I was there with, I just want them to score so I can go home and get home earlier. That might sound really bad to say. The second goal went in, and I just went, right, I'm going. And I'm walking away, I hear a cheer, and I'm thinking, right, well, it's just the end of the game. They're just celebrating the final whistle. And then I was on the phone to my mate saying some things about Gary O'Neill that would probably get this show taken off the internet. And I heard a man say to his wife, must have been Brighton fans, oh, they've scored. And I said, oh, you're joking, to my mate. Wolves have just scored as well. And he goes, what, again? And I've said, again? What do you mean again? And I was ecstatic. But yeah, basically, I've put a video out talking about that. And I've been hounded all over the internet.
That's football, isn't it? I'm quite a strong advocate, Josh, that if you travel all that way and pay all that hard-earned money, you stay at least to boo them off. That's my vibe. Whether you think we're going to get a goal back just to, it's a hope that kills you, isn't it? I think I was in America watching the game at like whatever it was, 11 o'clock in the morning. And when we got the first goal back, it was just like literally the hope that kills you. And then the maddest thing is we're watching this live stream on like Peacock, and the stream stalls when it's 4-on-1.
Oh, so you're thinking 3-1.
And then obviously the stream just doesn't come back on for like a good minute. And then I hear my mate turn to my other mate and goes, should we tell him about the goal? And I'm like, it's registered 3-1, has he? And then I just must have been shaken back into the game. And then Cunha's on the attack. And I'm like Sarabia in, like Guedes in. And I'm like, it slows the whole game down. I'm like, oh, he's flopped this now. And then somehow, I've been saying it for weeks, we can't buy a draw. Never mind a win. Nothing's going right for us. And the wickedest deflection in off the crossbar, and it's absolute limbs in this cabin in the middle of buttfuck nowhere in Pennsylvania. It was limbs in the away end, and it was limbs in that cabin. I mean, hopefully that is the turning point for Gary and this team, because, we've had a lot of things go against us at the start of this season, but the performances haven't justified the 2 points on the tally as it's so far, Dean.
Nah, again, it's been bits and starts, isn't it? There's been good parts of games, and then some couple of head loss moments in games as well. Mistakes costing goals. Conceded easy goals is probably the biggest gripe. Like, the goals that we concede are ones we never look like scoring, which is kind of part of the problem. We have to really work for our goals, but we tend to give them away. So, but hopefully Brighton's the turning point and we can kick on tomorrow.
Jeff, how you predicted, I believe, a 2-2 draw and Cunha to score any time last week. Mm-hmm. Weeks passed by now. I think you were on the review show, but how happy were you with that point now, a week gone on?
I think it's massively important, because it was, as you say, it's one of those places where we've always struggled to get results. I know we got a draw in the league there last year, but as a club, they're so well set up, and to go there and in the circumstances as well, and being 2-0 down and get a point out of that game, that shows incredible strength, and it shows continually what they're saying about the players staying with the manager. So having the players visibly backing the manager through their actions is incredible, really.
Yeah, I agree. I've said it for weeks on end there that I don't feel there's been a performance yet where it shows that the players aren't playing for him or they're down in tools. Just things haven't gone our way. Obviously, we're clearly lacking in confidence all across the pitch. But surviving a week without an embarrassing defeat or a dramatic defeat at the end, going into that dressing room at the end of the game, a point on the way on the road where they weren't expected to pick up anything. It's got to be good for confidence going forward, and hopefully going into tomorrow's game against Crystal Palace, it's a way to fully kickstart this season into motion. Because Gary O'Neill has been saying since the Chelsea defeat that the fixture run hasn't been kind to us, and the fixtures weren't on through the bookies' eyes that we were a favourite to win any of these games. But that's not what you want to hear as a fan. So these next two home games are home to Crystal Palace and Southampton. It's as much as he probably won't want to admit it, his job's on the line. And for me, it's a must-win game tomorrow, Dean. It's a must-win. A win tomorrow doesn't get us out of the relegation zone. So for me, tomorrow's a must-win. Do you agree with that?
100%, mate. The next two are, you've got to win them both. Like Palace, we lose tomorrow, we're miles away from safety already. Whereas the next two, he's mentioned all season, like you said, about the bookies and stuff like that. But the next two, we should be favourites for. So he's run out of excuses. They have to deliver now. Otherwise, it's curtains for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Josh, obviously going into the game tomorrow, Gary O'Neill's talked about the goalkeeping dilemma again in today's press conference in regards to Jose Sarr and Sam Johnson being back fit to feature tomorrow. Where do you stand on that goalkeeper situation?
To be honest, I don't think they're massively dissimilar. And if, let's say it was the start of the season, I'd say, you're the manager, pick who you prefer. But I think since Sarr's come back in, Johnston's been injured, or that's what he said. And I think the way Sarr's performed, I do not see how you can drop him. I think it'd be incredibly unfair. And I'd imagine Jose Sarr's quite a popular figure in the dressing room as well. And I imagine he's obviously got a big group of friends. Sam Johnston's new. So if you start dropping Jose Sarr, who's big around the team, he's a big influence, after he's performing probably some of the best goalkeeping he's ever performed here, I don't think it will go down well at all with the players. And as for the fans, I think everyone that I've seen talk about this situation has said, yeah, Jose Sarr deserves to start. I think he's better than Sam Johnson. So for me, it's Jose Sarr.
Do you still stand with that, Jeff? I mean, Jose Sarr was probably the one that was the catalyst for Brighton going ahead last week. But yet again, he had another good performance, keeping out the goals. And for me, like I've said on BBC WM today, I want a keeper who's solid with the hands more than the feet.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing now. And where we find ourselves in the table is we need to build on defensive performances, and picking somebody in there who, as you say, is traditionally a better goalkeeper, better with his hands, who's going to make important saves in important games. Even if he gives a moment of madness like he did against Brighton, it's important that we build on defensive rigidity and structure, because that's the only way that we're going to win games and get points moving forward. We can't afford to take risks with a goalkeeper who can play it from the back. That's too much of a risk in the situation where we are.
Where do you stand currently on the goalkeeper situation, Dean? I feel it's like I'm still finding minimal people that want Sam Johnston back in the sticks tomorrow night. But like sort of Josh has alluded to, this goalkeeper situation is one of sort of Gary O'Neill's, where he's put his flag in the ground with where he wants to move this club forward. And we spent £10 million on a goalie this summer, who he's got massive trust in, who thinks he can take Wolves forward in the style of play that Gary wants to play. But like they mentioned, fan angst and just assurance in this goal in Sam Johnson isn't high, is it?
I think that's it. Gary, I think Neil Cutler's a big part of the signing as well. I think because he dealt with him previously, didn't he, in the England setup and stuff. So, but they made a massive rod for their own back by bringing him in and not being able to get Sarr out. Because as a goalkeeper, Jose Sarr is clear of Sam Johnston. I could argue till I'm blue in the face about that one. I'd die on that hill. As a goalkeeper, Sarr is better. Yes, he's crazy, but all the best goalkeepers are. But I think he has to pick Sarr now until Sarr massively fucks up and we lose. Because he can't. Because if he puts Johnston in tomorrow and we lose 2-0, he's going to get absolutely murdered. Or if the first kick that Johnston puts out for a corner for the opposition, like he has done previously, the crowd are just going to turn. So he has to keep Sarr in now until Sarr gives him a reason to swap him. But I think deep down, O'Neill wants to bring Johnston back in because that's his keeper. But I also think Jose Sarr's personality probably is something that O'Neill doesn't want in a keeper. He only signed Johnston because he's more balanced and he's more solid and a bit more of a steady Eddie, as I've said previously, whereas Sarr is that little bit crazy and he has got that moment of madness in him. So I think Sarr needs to play, but I think O'Neill will keep him in until he's given a reason not to.
Can't disagree with that. It's like that sort of analogy, isn't it, where Sam Johnson's a good wife, but Jose Sarr's like a naughty mistress. That's the sort of vibe that we're talking about here, isn't it? Like everyone wants a bit of fun and a bit of edge, but Sam Johnson probably is a bit more balanced. But the way that we've sort of been throwing in goals over the last couple of months, regardless of whether we want to try and play at the back, we've got to make ourselves a bit more, resilient at the back. And I just think, like you said, Dean, that Jose Sarr, when it comes to shot stopping, climbing crosses, controlling his area, I think he's head and shoulders above Sam Johnson. And Gary O'Neill has said in the press conference today that since Sam Johnson's come in, it's lit a fire under Jose Sarr. So if he's performing well in training, I don't see how he can't start Jose Sarr tomorrow. But that's this might be one of the things that Gary has to live and die by the sword of one of these decisions. The big sort of news that came out in the press conferences today, pretty much Wolves were, as you were, there aren't really any players that have got picked up any knocks. Mario Lemay is expected to be back from a calf injury that apparently took him off at half time, which I thought was a tactical substitution at the time. Crystal Palace have announced today in their press conference that Eberiche Eze and Adam Wharton, amongst 2 or 3 others, will both be missing the game tomorrow, which for me, Josh, is a big positive for Wolves and yet another sort of instance how we can't afford to be not getting a win tomorrow with those players missing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be either a blessing or a curse for Gary O'Neill. For me, I'm very happy. As a great player, on his day, if he performs to his top ability, he can win Palace games on his own. And tomorrow, if he was playing and he turned up, he could certainly win them the game against us. Adam Wharton, again, is not that kind of player, but if he gets it ticking, he can certainly control a game and make it very hard to play against Palace as a team. But for Gary O'Neill, it's one of them where, okay, if they had them and we get edged out really closely and lose a game, maybe he's got another week and it's a must-win versus Southampton. But tomorrow, with those 2 out, I'm not sure who else they have out, but those 2 key players, you could argue that they are their best players. If we lose tomorrow, I think that has to be it. So I think it's sort of a blessing and a curse. You are still muted, Dan.
It's been a long week. I'm still jet lagged, guys. I'm sorry. I agree with you to a degree. I'm all over the place. I think he's got to win tomorrow. I think it's literally as clear as I don't think even a draw will be enough to save him tomorrow. It depends on how the performance goes, but with the players that Palace are missing, the fact that it's a must-win game, the fact that he's been talking in the media about us winning the games that we're supposed to, I don't see anything but a win tomorrow doing that saved him from his job. Because I think if we go into the Southampton game not winning tomorrow, I wouldn't even give him the chance to manage in that game. I'd be bringing a new manager, hoping to kickstart, a new manager bounce.
Yeah, 100%. It has to be. The equaliser last week has to mean something. If you don't win tomorrow, it doesn't mean anything. It means you might as well have just let Brighton win because you need to back it up. And the players out, they're going to have people like Jeffrey Schlupp playing, who I've already said he's going to end up scoring because he only seems to score 1 goal a season. And it's against Wolves. But he has to win that game. And then at the very least, they could argue to give him Southampton as well, and then say, well, we'll reset during the international break, give the new man time, etc., etc. But I agree with what you said. It comes down to the performance tomorrow. If we're all over them, but we can't finish, and then they just nick one on the break, and we just go down 1-0, but we try until the end, and XG and all the stats are in our favour, I think he'll be okay. But if there's any kind of if Palace play us off the park, then he'll be gone, 100%. Because there's no excuse. They're depleted player wise. They've only got one win. If they then beat us, the gap's even bigger. So yeah, it's a must win for him tomorrow, 100%.
I still don't think come the end of the season, Palace will be close to a relegation battle. I think they've got some quality players still. I know they've lost Joachim Anderson and Michael Elise this season. I think Mark Gay will probably go in January. But I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle come sort of February, March, April time. But at this moment in time, tomorrow is a 6-pointer. And like I said, if a win tomorrow doesn't get us out of the relegation zone, Jeffo, so it's must win for me. Gary O'Neill was sort of led in the press conference today about how he made the comments last week about, what was his words along the lines of that? He was disappointed in himself that he didn't go with the back four that he's been sort of trying to use since pre-season. How do you see us setting up tomorrow? Who would you like to see start that didn't start last week?
Sarabia. Straight away. I think he offered something in that second half. I think there was a lot of balance. It's kind of what we've been missing with the midfield three that we've been doing. I think having these sort of half, sort of 8/10s with Joe Gomez and Lamina pushing forward have just not really played to any of our strengths. I think having somebody like Sarabia in there, I know a lot of people aren't keen on him, but he's someone who can operate in that space really, really well and sort of create things. I mean, you see, he came in the game at the weekend. He created 3 chances in the time he was on the pitch, which was as many as any of the other 14 teams who were playing at that weekend. They had players playing. So he's somebody who can make a difference, and he's somebody who I'm surprised has really not had as many minutes as he probably should have done. And I think when O'Neill changed it and did that sort of double pivot at Brighton, I think that kind of showed a lot more balance and structure in terms of a team that's fighting and showing that they want to build from a defensive base, because it shows that they've got the 2 defensive midfielders, they've got the structure in front of the back four, so that they can actually hold on to a game and actually play proper football, basically. Because at the moment, with Andre being involved and it being that single sort of defensive midfielder in between Joe Gomez and Lamina, we haven't seen much in terms of like structure and rigidity from that midfield. So
would you sacrifice from the midfield to bring in Sarabia? I went on the Wolves team predictor earlier on in the day, and I ended up sacrificing Lamina. But going back to this sort of rod for his arm back that Gary O'Neill's made, with him being captain, I don't see how if he is fit tomorrow, how he can't start.
I think it's a perfect game for Joe Gomez tomorrow, and that's frustrating, really, because I think if there was going to be one miss out, it would be him. I think Mario Lamina has had a very poor season by his standards, and I think it may be that captain's armband is weighing quite heavy on his arm at the moment, and it's affecting his gameplay. But he just hasn't been at the same sort of levels that he has produced since he's been at the club. So Lamina makes more sense, but I think Joe Gomez is more of a possibility.
Where do you stand on the lineup tomorrow, Josh? Who'd you bring in? Obviously, you left a little bit early, so you weren't able to see Tommy Doyle's sort of miraculous 4-on-1 situation. But for me, Tommy Doyle needs to start tomorrow. I thought he was outstanding from start to finish last week.
Yeah, I'll come on to Tommy Doyle in a second, but someone I don't think he deserves to start, or I wouldn't want to see him start, but someone I just want to see full stop is Rodrigo Gomez. Has he fallen off the face of the earth? Where has he gone? Pre-season, he looked incredible. Arsenal wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. But that's against Arsenal, who are going to finish first, second, or third. And there's games where we've maybe needed a bit of excitement out on the wings, and he's just nowhere to be seen. And I don't really understand why. Maybe he hasn't performed that well in training. I don't know, but I want to see some more of a Rodrigo Gomez. Forbes, I like Forbes. Whether he deserves a start yet again, or maybe staying as a bit more of an impact player. But Tommy Doyle, yeah, I think he's incredible. I do. But it is so hard, isn't it? Like Lamina, Gomez, Andre, Tommy Doyle, they're good midfielders, and it's so hard to take one of them out, especially if you classing Sarabia as sort of a midfielder as well. That's 5 quality players. You can play a maximum of 3, maybe shoehorn 4, really. But for me, Tommy Doyle has to start.
So he starts alongside him tomorrow, Josh, if you're making that call of putting that team sheet in at quarter to whatever it is.
If we're going to go a 4 and a 3 in midfield, it'd be Doyle. I'd definitely start João Gomez, and then I'd have to go Andre, and it's really horrible. And I don't think Lamina would get dropped, so it's not going to happen. But for me, I would drop Lamina.
Yeah, for me, it's João Gomez, Tommy Doyle in the pivot in front of our defence tomorrow. To me, you've mentioned it there, Josh Forbes. I liked Forbes when he came on. Obviously, managed to get himself substituted off in the end, but I'm going back to those FIFA days when I used to play FIFA. My formation was 4-2-3-1 with 2 rapid wingers. It'd be Cunha behind Larson, and you'd have Forbes on the left and Rodrigo Gomez on the right. And we've got a 6-foot+ striker, and get the balls in the box to him. We ain't Man City. We're not prime Barcelona. Tiki-taka football, trying to make our way through a Premier League defence, hasn't worked for a long time. And the classic Wolves way is wingers getting balls into the box for our number 9. But then that leaves out sort of Lamina and Andre. But as Gary O'Neill got the minerals to go so bold of leaving his captain out, and Andre had to spend big money on, where do you stand with the team lineup tomorrow, Dean?
I think the fact Lamina's carrying a knock helps Gary, because that's an easy leave out. He can say, well, you ain't trained that much this week. Let's keep you fresh for next week. It depends who he's playing at left back. If he's playing the hybrid formation, he's going to shoehorn Totti in there, then I think it'll be Doyle and Gomez. But if he's going to a flat back 4 and having Santi and Dawson and having Ryan at left back, then you'll need to play Andre instead of Gomez to give you that protection in front of the centre backs. Which is what I'd do personally. I'd go Doyle and Andre, just because I like Andre. And then I'd go the normal. That'd be my midfield. I'd just go for those 2, and then I'd go the 4-2-3-1. I'd have Sarabia in off the right, Cunha in behind, and then I probably would go. Would I go Rodrigo Gomez or someone like Guedes, a bit more professional on the left coming in, or Forbes? Either one of them, either one of the 3 on the left. I don't really have fussed about. I just want some. Guedes gives you that vertical running. Forbes and Gomez give you blistering pace. So any of those 3 would be fine for me.
I just can't buy into the Guedes vibe, man. This Guedes remontada that you go on about, and all this Guedes vertical running. The guy's wank, man. I'm sick to death of seeing Guedes. He's not going to do well in a Wolves shirt. Physically, he just don't want to be in the league. God help him once flipping winter comes, because he's a waste of space in the flipping warm. But I'm just a flipping bloke doing a flipping podcast on a Friday night. I ain't picking a flipping multi-million-pound football team. It's up to Gary O'Neill to get it right tomorrow. I don't care what he does. I mentioned it on the radio earlier. This needs to be, as minimum, similar to the game that Steve Davis had against Nottingham Forest. I don't care how bad it is. If it's a 1-0 absolute stink house of a win, it's 3 points on the board, and we move forward. But yeah, Gary O'Neill's got a lot of hard work still ahead of him to gain the trust back of a lot of fans. But I'm still giving him trust, because he got us our flipping first win at the Albion since '96 or whatever it was. So big game tomorrow. We talked about it earlier that Eberiche Eze and Adam Wharton, I feel, are going to be 2 massive misses for them. But who concerns you, Dean? What's left in that Palace squad?
There's Mateta, in it. He's the one. Like we get Dawson to do a Haaland job on Mateta. I think we'll be okay. Obviously, they've still got Nketiah playing on the one wing, and I don't know who'll come in for Eze. But they've got Deji Kamada as well, who apparently came on and did very well in the week against Villa. Albeit it was a Villa B team that from Villa fans I spoke to, weren't even asked. But yeah, it's stopping that supply to Mateta, because he's pretty lethal in front of goal. So if we cut that supply off, we'll be fine. You're on mute, mate.
Where's your concerns for Palace tomorrow, Josh?
Boom, 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 boom. Mateta's in the room. I just think, I don't know. He seems to be quite a form player, and when he's on form, you do not want to play him. And he seems to be getting a few goals recently. But I think without Eze, hopefully he's got a bit less service, so we can keep him a bit quiet. Stick Dawson on him, keep him quiet. Other than that, I don't really know. I'm not, in all honesty, I'm not too clued up on Palace's team. I know there's Palace fans unhappy that Nketiah hasn't been played as a striker, or he's been playing like shoehorned into the team out of position, sort of. Again, I've never really seen Nketiah play a consistent run of minutes. This is sort of his first season out of Arsenal. So, I don't know, just Mateta, really, yeah.
Yeah, what about you, Jeff? I like the wing back that came in January, Munoz. Obviously, Nketiah has got the ability to be a handful. Mateta will be definitely troublesome tomorrow, but hopefully he's mute as I've been in this episode.
Yeah, I think Munoz is a fantastic player, as you say. But yeah, I just hope that Jeff Schlupp doesn't do a Danny Butterfield and somehow manage to shithouse a hat trick from an advanced position as a shoehorned fullback as he was. But I think they're a good side. I think, as the guys have mentioned, Mateta is a fantastic striker. I think he's somebody who Palace probably should have played more minutes in this season. In the earlier games, they were persisting with Nketiah, and Mateta probably wasn't getting as many minutes as he should for somebody who's at the level where he is. And he's that sort of player where he's performed well against Wolves and shown that he has that physicality that we've struggled with in a lot of games. So I hope Dawson's fit, because I think that's our only sort of block on it. As Dean says, I think he needs to be there, because we don't seem to have any centre back, that can sort of deal with that aggressive striker.
Yeah, and I remember it was a couple of seasons ago, he absolutely embarrassed Max Kilman at Molineux in front of the England watching manager Gareth Southgate at the time. So yeah, if we can keep Mateta quite shackled tomorrow, I think we've got ourselves a good chance. It's going to be a difficult game. We never do anything. We're never comfortable against Palace, even when we do manage to pick up wins against them. But at home, 5:30 on the telly, plenty of drinking time tomorrow, guys. Get back into Molineux, get supporting from the off, make sure the atmosphere is decent to get the boys over the line to get 3 points. I mentioned earlier that Jeffo was cracking with his prediction last week with the 2-2 draw and Cunha scoring anytime. So based on that, this week we're going to bring back the Sky Bet Bet Builder segment. You can see it on the screen right now. I'm going to come to each of the guys, but I'm going to start with Jeffo this week.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffo, what player do you think will score in the 90 minutes this week?
I'm going to go wild card. I think Sarabia is going to be back in. I think he's going to get a goal.
Pablo Sarabia is at odds of 9-2 to score any time in tomorrow's game. Josh, first time on the show, pick a player to be booked tomorrow.
It's one of the top two, innit? I'm trying to think. Did João Gomez get booked in the last game? I'm trying to think.
Not to give you any help or tips, but João Gomez, Nelson Semedo, Totti, and I forgot the other one. They're all on 4. So if they get booked tomorrow, they miss Southampton. So they might be playing it cautious.
I'll tell you what, we'll go with... I was going to go a bit rare and go Cunha, see if he gets a bit fired up under the lights. But I'll go safe and I'll go with Andre for the first one.
Andre at 9-4. That's currently at odds of 13-1. Dean, a Wolves player and a Palace player to have a shot on target. Wolves player first.
Wolves player first. Let's go with... I'm trying to think someone's got decent odds. Who's got decent odds there? Let's have a scroll down. Go Ryan.
Ryan 8-0, one shot on target at 9-4, takes the bet builder up to 47.
And then we want a Palace player.
And then a Palace player, one shot on target. Obviously, Eberechi Eze's not going to be able to make the game tomorrow, so it started with Eddie Nketiah at odds of 15-8 on, then Mateta at same odds.
Look for Ismail Assar. Oh, he's odds on, for fuck's sake. Okay. Go Kamada then.
Yeah, Kamada.
He'll be on free kicks for him.
Yeah, he's expected to replace Eze. You can get one shot on target for Kamada at 5-4, which takes the bet builder up to 100-1. And I'm going to end the bet builder by predicting Wolves to win at 13-10, which takes the bet builder to 130 to 1. Let's go through the bet builder a quick second. So Pablo Sarabia to score anytime, Andre to be booked, Ryan Aït-Nouri to have a shot on target, Daichi Kamara to have one shot on target, and Wolves to win 130 to 1. I'm laying a tenner on that once I actually find the slip to bet. And if that bet comes in, I'm going to spend it all on Christmas shots for anyone that comes to the Ogs Ed at the Man United Boxing Day home game. There you go. £10 on, but £1,310 back if that comes in. Could be interesting. I'm hoping that my couple of years of going against Pablo Sarabia doesn't come back to haunt me there, Jeffo. But you were solid last week, and we wish the Wolves lads well tomorrow. Dean, what's your score prediction for the game tomorrow?
Nervy 2-1 to Wolves.
Josh, your score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-0. I think we'll do well. I think we'll keep them quiet tomorrow. I'm going to go 2-0.
Jeffo, give a score prediction.
I trust my gut. I'm same as Josh, 2-0. I think we'll see a nice defensive performance and something to really be excited about.
I'm going to go with a stinky Wolves 1-0 win tomorrow. I just feel like Crystal Palace, the way that they are, they'll put a low block in, but hopefully we can just get it over the line, whether it's hopefully a Pablo Sarabia deflected goal in front of the South Bank. I'll take whatever comes. Jeff, I said in the group earlier, if it's a shithouse 1-0, or like I think it might have been Ed, if it's a penalty from a handball that nobody sees, I don't care, as long as you get 3 points tomorrow. It's that huge, this game tomorrow. Thanks to everyone that's joined us on the Wolves Fancast tonight. The majority of comments tonight in the obviously in the comment section is basically everyone saying Gary O'Neill out. Look, I'm going on Gary now. O'Neill is bloody useless. Going through so many more. If we lose tomorrow, is Gary O'Neill sacked? Let us know your opinions on that. There's quite a lot of anti-Gary O'Neill. We have been given a really tough run of fixtures, haven't we? But with this group of players, he should have done a lot more, shouldn't he, Josh?
Yeah, I think if you look at individual talents on the pitch, there is not a chance. And obviously, football isn't played on paper. It's a lot more complicated than that. But individual players, we're comfortably a mid-table team. And what's changed from last year? Obviously, we struggled at the end of the season with injuries and things like that, and momentum wasn't going our way. But I really thought we had a good pre-season, a fresh start. I thought, yeah, we'll really kick on. Europe may be a stretch, but we'll be comfortably mid-table, especially with the talent we've got, and it just hasn't worked. And I'd like to think, I don't want to say the season starts now, because obviously you've played 9 games. That's pretty much like near enough a quarter, a third of the season. But we've played like 9 of the top 10 or something like that. So if you win tomorrow, build from Brighton, you can sort of build from here and start the season from here in a way. But yeah.
Our home fixtures have been massively difficult, haven't we? You look at sort of playing Man City and Liverpool both at home. Newcastle was a game for me that we shouldn't have ended up losing. We should have picked up a point as minimum there. That's the look that we've had against us in recently. You know, Fabian Shaw pinging one top bins with a deflection. We don't seem to have any sort of centre half that's got that in his locker to even shoot that distance, never mind being deflected into the top corner. The Chelsea game, even though it was 6-2 on the day, could have been 10-all. It was. I thought it was a really awful game from a tactical point of view. I thought both teams were so open that it could have been 4 or 5 all at half time, and unfortunately for us, they were just way more clinical in the second half. I think maybe Alameda had a goal disallowed during the second half, which I thought at the time, I think if that went in, the momentum that we seemed to have at the time, I thought we might have been able to nick something, but then it just all seemed to implode. And like I said, the pre-season was quite impressive. I thought maybe that win over Red Bull Leipzig went to Gary O'Neill's head a little bit. But the West Ham victory was also impressive during pre-season. But the defeat against Crystal Palace was stereotypical Wolves, wasn't it, to a degree? And hopefully that stereotypical Wolves doesn't turn up tomorrow. Boda Safo in the comment section saying, I'm very torn, I must admit. I want us out of this rut so bad, but also want us to lose so we can get a different manager. that's the sort of vibe that we're in. This run is too much to sustain now, and the longer we're stuck in it, the more difficult it's going to take to get out. So keep reiterating that tomorrow is an absolutely huge game, and like I said earlier, I'll stay to the end and boom off if I think it's going to be a bad game or it's we've stunk the house out. But from kick off until 90th minute, I'll be behind the lads, and I hope everyone who comes to Molly will do the same tomorrow. As always, thanks for supporting the Wolves Fancast. You can follow us at Wolves Fancast across all social media. This week on our Wolves Fancast T-Mill site, we're doing free shipping in the UK up until midnight. You can get your Rio de Wolverhampton shirts, Jurgen Strand-Larsen, João Gomez, all your favourite Wolves players have got their own shirts. There is a South Bank edition of S1 to S5 if you want your own little T-shirt to show where you stand, and there's plenty more where you can find. But as I just mentioned, free shipping, free UK shipping all weekend until Sunday night. So get yourself at the Wolves Fancast T-Mill store, which is wolvesfancast.tmill.com. And as always, we are in association with fcquiz.app, which is a football quiz website and app. As Josh decided to leave Wolves in their time of need last week, I'm going to throw him under the bus and make him do this week's edition of the FC Quiz app. There is 8 Wolves questions which you can find on the website and app. So if you haven't played it, maybe turn off now or maybe try and play along at home. The first question, Josh, which you can find, as mentioned, at the site fcquiz.app. It's Fancast Friday Quiz, 11th edition. Question 1. The quicker you answer it, the more points you get. So question 1 is, which player below made the least amount of league appearances for Wolves? Diogo Jota, Rui Patricio, Ivan Cavaleiro, or Pedro Neto?
Ivan Cavaleiro.
Ivan Cavaleiro is the correct answer. There was only something like 15 appearances between that lot that it came
I'd
to
imagine
in the end.
Neto hasn't made many more, although he's been here for a very long time in the Premier League. But
I think it pretty much went Jota, Neto, Patricio, and Cavaleiro, but someone else will have to verify that. You're already beating Josh Lemmy, but that's obviously our fancast, Josh Lemmy, in the duel on FC Quiz.app. Question 2, Josh. Which country did Steve Ball not score past for the full men's England side? Tunisia, Portugal, Scotland, or Czechoslovakia?
Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia is the incorrect answer, Josh, but I'll let you off because I bet you weren't even born when Bully played for England. Is that
I know
right?
he scored against Scotland, but
Correct answer was Portugal. Question 3, Josh, is which French side did Wolves side Hamid Kamara from? Auxerre, Montpellier, Le Havre, or Sedan?
Montpellier.
Correct answer was Sedan. That's another game. How old are you, Josh? Were you even alive when Henry Kamara played for Wolves?
I am 21 years old.
God, yeah. I'm too fucking old for this game. You started doing like 2010 onwards, I think.
Yeah.
Question 4 is which club below did Jack Price not score past? Watford, MK Dons, or Luton Town?
I'm going to say MK Dons.
Correct answer, Josh, is Luton Town. Question 5. Which Wolves Nigerian below did not play for the full Nigerian national side? Bright Enabakari, Adi Akinboye, Carl Akimi, or Isaac Okoronkwo?
I feel like Brighton and Bakero would, but I don't remember it ever happening, so I'm going to go Brighton and Bakero.
That is the correct answer. Adi Akinboye made 1 appearance for the Super Eagles. Carl Akimi obviously played quite a few times, and Isaac Okoronkwo was a championship manager icon for those that played it back in the day. Question 6. Which former Wolves striker John Daddy Bodvarsson has joined which side as a free agent? Tranmere, Rex. The correct answer is Wrexham. You could have had Salford City as a guess, or the Icelandic side, which I'll let you try and pronounce at home. Question 7. Who is the fake former Wolves player below? Billy Wrigglesworth, Raphael Villazan, Oswald Cobblepot, or Eli Juggins?
Oswald Cobblepot.
Oswald Cobblepot is the correct answer for all the Batman Penguin fans out there. You could have had Billy Wigglesworth was a correct answer. Eli Juggins was a correct answer. And Raphael Villazan was a correct answer. That's one of my favourite parts of doing that quiz is find up the random people that used to play for Wolves back in the day. You can have a good look at the list if you search Afobe to Zyro on Google. Question 8 is Ruben Neves missed a penalty against which side in Wolves' 2019-20 Europa League campaign? I'll just accidentally give you the right answer by saying Slovan Bratislava. So that gives you a correct final score of 5 out of 8. Be sure to play the FC Quiz app series of questions that we release every Friday. It's free to play. All you have to do is register an email, and every so often we will give out a prize to whoever finishes top of the league table that week. Hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Be sure to have a look at our team mill site. Get yourself a new Wolves shirt for the Christmas period. Thanks to myself giving up his spare time after a load of jet lag and being full of heartburn after a kebab meat and chips half an hour before the show went live. Dean, Jeffo, and the new and improved Josh Lem on tonight's Wolves Fancast episode. Be sure to listen to the audio episode if you can. Later on in the week, we'll be back again on Sunday for a review show of tomorrow's game at home to Crystal Palace. Have a good weekend. Stay in touch. Get in touch with your mates. Make sure they're okay. And have a drink for me tomorrow night because I'll be having one for myself. Good night. Up the Wolves. Up the Wolves.